Once upon a time, in a cozy little house at the edge of a small village, lived a curious kitten named Whiskers. With her soft gray fur and twinkling green eyes, Whiskers loved nothing more than exploring every nook and cranny of her home. She would spend hours chasing butterflies, pouncing on fallen leaves, and playing hide-and-seek with her shadow. But one bright, sunny morning, Whiskers felt an even stronger urge to explore. She had already investigated every corner of the house, climbed every tree in the backyard, and sniffed every flower in the garden. There had to be something more exciting out there, beyond the fence, beyond the village. Without thinking twice, Whiskers squeezed through a small gap in the garden fence and began her adventure. She trotted down the street, her little paws patting softly on the warm pavement. The further she went, the bigger the world seemed. Houses turned into shops, and quiet streets turned into busy roads filled with people and cars. At first, Whiskers the kitten was thrilled. There were so many new sights and smells. She saw children laughing and playing in a park, dogs barking happily, and birds chirping from the trees. But as the sun climbed higher in the sky, Whiskers began to feel tired. She realized she had wandered far from home. The village looked completely different now, and she didn't know how to get back. Feeling a little scared, Whiskers looked around for something familiar. But all she saw were tall buildings and busy streets. She meowed softly, hoping someone would help her, but no one seemed to notice the little lost kitten. Whiskers' heart began to race. She was truly lost. Just as tears were beginning to form in her big green eyes, a friendly voice called out, "Well, hello there, little one." Whiskers. The kitten looked up to see a kind old lady sitting on a bench in the park. She had a gentle smile and was holding a loaf of bread, feeding some pigeons. The lady leaned down and scooped Whiskers up into her arms. "What are you doing all alone, sweetheart? You must be lost," the lady said, stroking Whiskers' soft fur. Whiskers purred in response, feeling a little comforted by the old lady's warmth. The lady set Whiskers down on the bench beside her and said, "I used to have a kitten just like you. Why don't you stay with me for a while?" Whiskers stayed with the old lady for a little while, enjoying the crumbs of bread she shared with her. But soon, Whiskers knew she needed to find her way home. She thanked the lady with a nuzzle and set off once again. As Whiskers, the kittens wandered through the park, she came across a playful puppy chasing its tail. The puppy noticed Whiskers and bounded over to her, wagging its tail excitedly. "Hi, I'm Buster. Who are you?" the puppy barked. "I'm Whiskers," the kitten replied softly. "I'm lost. I can't find my way home." Buster's eyes lit up. "Oh, I love adventures. I'll help you find your way." Whiskers smiled at the puppy's enthusiasm, and together they set off through the park. Buster led the way, sniffing the air and wagging his tail as they searched for clues to help Whiskers find her home. They passed by a pond where ducks quacked, splashing in the water. They crossed a bridge and explored a row of small houses, but nothing looked familiar to Whiskers. Just when they were about to give up hope, they heard a loud meow from a nearby alley. A tall, sleek cat named Midnight appeared from the shadows. "What are you two doing here?" Midnight asked, her golden eyes gleaming. "I'm lost," Whiskers the kitten explained. "I wandered too far from home, and now I can't find my way back." Midnight studied Whiskers for a moment, and then smiled kindly. "I know this town well. I can help you, little one. Follow me." With Midnight's help, Whiskers and Buster navigated through the twisting alleys and bustling streets. Midnight was wise and knew every shortcut in the town. Soon, the streets became quieter, and the houses looked more familiar. "There," Midnight said, pointing with her paw. "Isn't that your street?" Whiskers' heart leapt with joy. She recognized the big oak tree at the end of the road and the familiar red mailbox in front of her house. "That's it! That's my home!" she cried, racing toward the house. Buster and Midnight followed behind as Whiskers darted through the garden gate and into the yard. The warm, cozy house looked just as it had before, and Whiskers could see her family inside, calling her name. "Whiskers! Where have you been?" her family exclaimed as they scooped her up into their arms. They had been worried about her all day. "I had an adventure," Whiskers purred, snuggling into their arms, "but I'm so happy to be home." Buster wagged his tail, and Midnight nodded approvingly. "You were brave, little one," Midnight said. "But remember, there's no place like home." Whiskers smiled, knowing midnight was right. Though her adventure had been exciting, she realized that home was where she truly belonged, with her family, surrounded by love. That night, as Whiskers curled up in her favorite spot by the window, she looked out at the stars twinkling above. She knew she would have many more adventures, but now she understood that no matter where she went, she would always find her way back home. And so, Whiskers closed her eyes, her heart filled with happiness and contentment, and drifted off to sleep, dreaming of the adventures that awaited her tomorrow.